Hi students, again I'm back with another unit and that is 10th unit of from your textbook. Heaven if you are not here on earth. This poem is written by Kuvempu and translated by Professor C. Nagarna. Okay, we know very well Kuvempu is our national poet in Kannada literature. I think prior to him we had the poet Govinda Pai. So Kuvempu, the second one who got this title of being the national poet. Today we do not have Kuvempu with us nor Govinda Pai with us. Kuvempu, we know he is from Tirthahalli, that is Kuppalli to be exact, in Shimoga district. So the acronym Kuvempu comes from Kuppalli Venkatappa Puttappa. Okay, we all know this, we have studied in our previous classes. Kuvempu, we can call him as Wordsworth of Kannada literature. He writes, or he has written many poems on the beauty of the nature. Now here there is another one, okay, which looks very strange title, like, we have a strange title, Heaven if you are not here on earth. Before discussing the title, I would like to discuss a few aspects on the concept of heaven. Heaven, it's a metaphysical reality. What do I mean by metaphysical reality? Well, that reality is not there in the physical world. In the one of the slides I have mentioned it. Well, heaven is not a place, like a physical place, like we say Andhra Pradesh or Tamil Nadu, or we say Kuwait or Dubai or Japan, Netherlands. No, heaven is not a place of that sort. But all of us, have taken for granted that heaven, the moment we say heaven, we look up, thinking that heaven is on the other side of the sky. And as opposed to heaven, when we think of hell, we never look up. We look down to earth, thinking that heaven is under the earth. Secondly, we say heaven means it's a beautiful place where everything is perfect. Everything is perfect. And hell, where there is fire, okay, sulfuric acid, fire, okay, fire of sulfur, we say. And all the time, those who have done very bad thing in their life, those are wicked people, we say they go down to hell, and those who have done well in their life, those who have lived a perfect and ethical life, they go up to heaven. We may call this concept of heaven as moksha, salvation, or eternity, or jannat, in different terms, in different religions, or in your own religion you have studied all these things. That is fine. Okay, those who have gone to heaven, they have not come back. And there is no guarantee that we will be going to heaven, though we know at the depth of our heart what exactly I do, whether I do something good or something bad. I need not tell you also that those who do good go to heaven and those who do evil go to hell. In fact, those who do good, they always live in heaven, and those who do evil things, they always live in hell. They always live in hell. And once you do evil things, you need to always hide yourself, protect yourself from being caught. Isn't it a hell? Isn't it a hell? I'll give you just an example. When you bring a copy in the exam hall, you're always under the fear that somebody would come and I would be caught. What if I am caught? Are you not living in hell? Instead of look at the boy who has studied very well, everything is in his heart and mind, and he enjoys writing because there is no fear. So we can say hell, where there is a hell lot of fear, and heaven, where there is a heaven lot of happiness. Okay, what it is, I think when we experience, then we will come to know. If at all you are living in hell, please come out of it and try to live in heaven. And if at all living in heaven, please continue to live in heaven and bring others also into that heaven. Okay, Rabindranath Tagore calls it as heaven of freedom. Heaven of freedom. Okay, heaven of being the children of God. Heaven of being always happy. Okay, right. Now, secondly, in this lesson, we will be studying how, God has provided a beautiful heaven for all of us when we are alive itself. Not that to experience heaven, you need to die. You can live in heaven right here on earth, and that is what Kuvempu is trying to tell us. That's what Kuvempu is, because the title says heaven if you are not here on earth. Don't you feel it's a conditional sentence because if is come there? Don't you feel something is missing there after earth? That is heaven if you are not here on earth. What next? The poet says heaven if you are not here on earth, you are nowhere else. Heaven if you are not here on earth, you are nowhere else. In other words, heaven, you are right here on earth, and that is what Kuvempu is proving at the end of this poem. Okay, so let us remember what he is trying to prove here, and let us be a part of this particular exercise. Heaven, if you are not here on earth. We always thought heaven is a beautiful place, beautiful place. If you remember the philosopher, that is Plato, Plato said, there are two worlds, two realities. Which are those? One is ideal world, the other one is, a shadow world. He says, ideal world is in heaven. What is that ideal world? Where everything is perfect. Love is 100%, forgiveness is 100%, happiness is 100%, everything is perfect. Whereas he says, on this earth, we have the shadow of that reality. Meaning to say, love is not perfect here. Happiness is not perfect here. It's only a certain percentage of that we experience, because this is the real world. Whereas ideal world, everything is perfect. I may not be able to explain to you the whole realism and idealism, but that's what he says. In other words, what I would like to say is that we always believe heaven is something perfect and earth, it is not perfect, and we all hope to go to heaven after our death. So we have many people giving their death experience, what they call the tunnel experience, or light at the end of tunnel experience. Whatever it is, let us not be worried where is earth, or where is heaven. Will I go to heaven or not? What shall we do? Let us make this earth a heaven, so that question doesn't come at all, because this earth is heaven, and let us see whether this particular statement is true or false. In this poem, the poet, that's Kuvempu, is trying to prove that heaven is not a separate place like a distant city. I already told you. He's not trying to prove that heaven is a place and it is, as many kilometers far away from the earth, or like Mission Mangal or Mission Moon. It is not of that sort. It is right here on earth. Then where is it? That we will see in the poem. He goes on proving his point like a theorem is proved in mathematics by using step-by-step method. He gives propositions and then he proves them. He gives propositions and he proves them that heaven is right here on earth. He has written this poem in 14 lines. First is a statement, and the other 3 paragraphs, verses, he tries to prove his points. So in other words, we can say 3 steps are there where he proves that heaven is right here on earth. What does he prove? He proves that the human beings are gods. I would like to tell you there. Can you see that gods? It is written in small letter G-O-D-S. The very next God, capital G, I have written. What is the difference here? We know very well there are not many gods. There can be only one God. Can there be many prime ministers? Can there be many principals? In one particular nation, can there be 2 prime ministers? In one college, there can be 2 principals. For one team, there can be 2 captains. Not possible. Similarly, there cannot be many gods. There is only one God. Then what does this small G-O-D-S refers to gods? I would like you to go back to last year's poem, where Moodlakuna Swami wrote a poem where, if I were a tree, where he says, when a cow comes and rubs its body against me, I feel holy, because 33,000 gods which are in the stomach of the cow, they touch me and I become holy. Can you understand this concept? Hindu philosophy believes in the presence of many gods and goddesses. Devaru ಮತ್ತು ದೇವತೆಗಳು, ದೇವತೆಗಳು. Gods and goddesses. That's gods and goddesses, we call them as smaller gods or GODs. Whereas one God is always refers with the only one God, that is capital G, one God. There cannot be capital G with plural gods, no. It's always small. So poet is trying to prove here that all of us are gods. If we are gods, where do gods live? They live in heaven. So where do we live? Or we are living on earth. So earth is equal to heaven. The second, he says the human beings are nymphs. What do we mean by nymphs? In Kannada we call them apsaras. Ramba, Urvashi, Menake. There are many we have called. We can call them as spirits. Maybe we can also call them as angels. Nymphs also live in heaven. And he says, well, human beings are nymphs. If human beings are nymphs live in heaven, human beings live on earth, earth is equal to heaven. Theorem. Beautiful places like gardens, waterfalls, harvesting scenes, etc. are here on earth. And when we look at these beautiful places like gardens or waterfalls or harvesting scenes, you feel as if you are in heaven. Sometimes when you go to some beautiful places, we say, I feel I am in heaven. Then, which means earth is heaven. Finally, he says, a poet can create a heaven on earth by his power of imagination and writing. Poet is capable of imagining anything. He can simply bring to our mind some imageries. So he says, well, a poet can create heaven on earth through his power of writing, through his power of imagination. So, isn't this earth a heaven? Chalo, let's see how he proves this point one by one. Heaven, if you are not here on earth, where else could you be? It's a question he's posing to us. Heaven, if you are not here on earth, where else could you be? In other words, he says, if you are not here on earth, you are nowhere else. You are right here on earth, meaning to say, heaven is equal to earth or earth is equal to heaven. It means that heaven is here on earth. If it is not there on this earth, it cannot be anywhere else. By this first point only, he makes it very clear that heaven is not a separate place. It is not a separate entity. It is not somewhere at a distant place. He says heaven is right here on earth. Well, Kuvempu is not like just a blabberer who just says something, states something. Whatever he states, now he proves it. How does he prove? Before that, just look at the slides here. When we look at these beautiful places, we feel I am on earth, isn't it? Maybe some of us have visited these places or more beautiful than these places we must have gone to, which means you have visited heaven on earth. Okay, continue. Next, if we ourselves cannot be gods, there can be no gods. This is the statement he makes. If we refers to all the human beings on this earth. If we ourselves cannot be gods, there can be no gods. I already told you the meaning of this gods, small letter gods. Okay, here he says, if we ourselves cannot be gods, there can be no gods. Now look at the slide here. Ancient Greek gods. Okay, Dionysius, Hermes, Apollo, Zeus, Ares, Hermes. Okay, Poseidon. There were different gods. For each particular quality, they almost refer to one particular god and goddesses. Okay, similarly in India also we have got different gods. We call them as 33,000 gods. Okay, he says, well, if we ourselves cannot be gods, there can be no gods. See, in the Bible there is a book called the Book of Psalms. And there is a psalm called Psalm number 8. There are 150 psalms. Psalm number 8, there he says, God, you have made us little less than angels. Angels refers to nymphs. The psalmist, one who writes the psalm, he says, you have made us little less than the gods. In other words, we say human beings are the highest of God's creation. Human beings are the apex of God's creation. When God created, He created us as the highest. Rest all the other beings which God has created, well, they are made lesser than human beings. God has blessed us with the power of reasoning, logical power, intellect, which we believe it is not given to others, but sometimes we behave the other way. Animals behave much better than us. It looks God has given them the intellect and other things and not to us. Many times it happens, many times. But here he says, well, all of us are gods. If we are not gods, then there can be no gods. Second, he says, if we ourselves aren't heavenly nymphs, the nymphs are not elsewhere. Okay, and look at here, nymphs. In other words, I told you examples about Urvashi, Rambhe, Menake, or spiritual beings we call them. Maybe you can also, in Bible, we refer to them as angels. Well, he says, if we are not nymphs, If we are not these spiritual beings, they are not anywhere else. What does poet, what is he trying to tell us here? He's trying to tell us that if gods and nymphs live in heaven, and if human beings are the gods and nymphs, then heaven is right here. He's saying, well, gods are not anywhere else. All of us are gods. We are nymphs. Now I want each one of you to ask a question to yourself. Do you live like gods? Not capital G, small gods. Or what does my parent tell about me? What does my teacher speak about me? Have I kept up the level, okay, the stature which God has created me? Bible also says that, God has created us in His own image and likeness. Then how come sometimes I behave like a demon? How come sometimes I behave like a devil? How come there is so much of jealousy within me? There is so much of selfishness within me. Me refers to the human beings. You see, Kuvempu is trying to tell us that, remember, you are a human being created in the image of God. So should you not live like that? See, the moral concern of the poet is seen very well here. So he says, we are gods and we are nymphs. If we are gods and we are nymphs and we live on this earth, then earth is equal to heaven. Isn't it a beautiful theorem that Kuvempu has proved? Let's go to the next paragraph, verse. He says, what is that? While this roaring stream rushes fast, rolling surf at the edge of waves. Okay, now you see, wherever there is, this is rainy season and we can find many waterfalls, especially in Uttarakhand district. Wherever you go, you find some waterfalls. And we would like to go there. What for? To see that beautiful place. See, when the water falls, that foam of the water, especially when you go to Jog Falls, that beauty is, it is simply enchanting. That beauty, it's beyond any explanation. And you feel when you go to such places, wow, I am here on heaven. This place looks like heaven, we see. And exactly that's what poet is trying to say. While this roaring stream that rushes fast, see these beautiful places, and then he says, rolling surf at the edge of the waves. The beach is very close to us, sea is very close to us, and these particular scenes we always see how the high rising waves and that foam that is formed surfing. It may not happen here, but we have seen in some other places, at least if not anywhere else. We have seen it on TV channels, how people surf, escaping through those waves. And we say, he says, well, this is heaven. This is heaven, nothing less than heaven, nothing less than heaven. And third thing, he says, the tender sunshine leans on verdant gardens. Okay, the tender sunshine leans on verdant gardens. Suppose you have visited beautiful places, hill stations like Uti, Kodaikanal, where you will find some taking beautiful gardens. Even in Mysore or some beautiful places, what beautiful gardens, Mughal gardens or Rashtrapati gardens, presidential gardens in Delhi, Mughal garden. What a beautiful places we have got. And just imagine early in the morning or late in the evenings, when the sunshine falls on these gardens, it is nothing less than heaven. In fact, you need not think of heaven as something else. That itself is heaven. And he says, well, you find all these places on this earth where there's a waterfalls, water streams, and this surfing of the sea waves and this tender sunshine on verdant gardens. Verdant is, this particular word verdant, it's a French word. Verdant means green. So green garden, and then the gentle sun makes this earth heaven. Who doesn't want to watch or view sunshine, sunrise and sunset? Sunrise and sunset. Sometimes you say, okay, you need to go to Kanyakumari to see the sunset or sunrise. Anywhere you can see the beauty of sunrise. You go to the beach, you find sunset or sunrise beautiful on the east and the west. It is there. These beautiful things are there. The realities are there. And poet says, well, when these realities are there, why are you looking for heaven some other place? Some other place. See, William Wordsworth is called the high priest of nature. High priest of nature. Okay, it is he who began, giving importance for the nature and writing poetry on nature. And Kuvempu is a high priest of nature, we can call it, with regard to Kannada literature. And how beautifully is presenting to us that God has created this earth itself as heaven. And he's pinpointing to these different realities. They are not imaginary, they are real, they are realities. And he says, well, this is where heaven is. This is where heaven is. See, you do not require anything else. This is very scientifically, he is trying to prove to us that heaven is right here on earth. So, here he is trying to prove that, well, when you see these beautiful places like rolling streams, roaring streams, or the waves, okay, and the beautiful gardens, he says, and the sunshine, he says, well, this is heaven. Let's go to the third paragraph, third verse, what he says. In the splendor of harvest and of moonlight, heaven lies all over. Now, I want you to imagine the harvesting scenes. Just see here, apples are harvested and kept, they are put in the baskets and they are kept. And in this slide you will find where grapes are being harvested. Now see how beautiful this site looks. Maybe you can add paddy harvesting or wheat harvesting or mango harvesting or anything. The fruitfulness of the earth, okay, or how the earth is full of things which God has provided us. When we look at this, don't we feel that heaven is right here on earth? And adding to that, the poet says, splendor of harvest and of moonlight, heaven lies all over. Look at this picture of moonlight. Many a times, may not be in the rainy season, but in the autumn, say in the month of December, January, February, when we come out of our houses in the night when there is full moon day, well, it is a beautiful experience. Our spirits, they become ecstatic. We simply enjoy the beauty of the night in that moonlight. Now I want you to go back to that first lesson, Romeo and Juliet, where Juliet cries out in the night, come Romeo, come night, thou night. He calls Romeo night because in that moonlight, she simply feels that love, she is experiencing the presence of Romeo, and in the night itself, and she wants Romeo to come and be with her. Okay, so similarly here he says, when you see these beautiful places, they are bathed in the beauty of moonlight. I use the term bathed, completely covered with moonlight, completely, and that situation is quite enchanting, alarming. It is, you just can't imagine. And Kuvempu says that this is nothing less than heaven, or this itself is heaven. Okay, heaven lies all over. And finally, very beautifully comes, what does he say? Imbibing and spilling the song of nectar, the poet does create heaven on earth. It's a small grammatical mistake, does and creates come together. It cannot be. It is maybe while writing the mistake is committed there. Okay. So in the splendor of harvest, we saw that imbibing and spilling the song of nectar. Okay. So nectar refers to amrita, honey, something that is very sweet. Imbibing and spilling. Okay. Here you see a poet. He always, leans on the nature to write a poetry. Have you? I'm sure kids, we have studied that ode to autumn. Okay, how he personifies autumn. He speaks about autumn. Okay, or for that matter, even William Wordsworth writing about skylark, or solitary reaper. How he depends on the nature to write everything. So here also, Kuvempu says, imbibing and spilling the song of nectar. When you see the beautiful nature, this green earth which God has created, which he calls as heaven, he says, poet creates heaven on earth. A poet is a very powerful person. We call God as creator. Even a poet is called a creator. God created everything out of nothing. Science cannot create anything out of nothing. Science requires some kind of raw material. Okay. Whereas God created everything out of nothing. Now, poet also has this capacity. What is that? Out of nothing, only through the sheer power of his imagination and the words that he uses, he can create something new. Now we need to go back to the previous lesson of George Borges, where he says, the actual words to be used. You remember, he speaks about, in poetry, it is very, very important to use right words at the right place, the vocabulary. Similarly, here, a poet uses such powerful words and such powerful imagination that he can even create heaven on earth. See, sometimes places we have not been to, but just by the description we are able to understand it. Later, the last lesson, Japan and Brazil, we will be studying about this. Travelogue. Somebody writes on that and we understand. And sometimes poet can imagine anything. And his imagination is so powerful, his words become very real to us. Though things are not there, but still we can understand because poet is able to create. And now Kuvempu says, a poet can create heaven on earth by his words. By his words. See, with this we come to the end of poem. And you see how beautifully, how a scientific methodology is used by Kuvempu to prove that earth itself is heaven, or there is no heaven outside the earth. Right from the beginning he says, we know or we take it for granted gods and nymphs they live in heaven. Now he says human beings are gods, he says human beings are nymphs, and human beings live on the earth, which means if gods and nymphs live on heaven and human beings are gods and human beings live on the earth is equal to heaven. Yes. Second, he says beautiful places like where water streams are there, waterfalls are there, where we find these waves and the surfing, that foam, and the beautiful gardens and the sunshine, the sunrise or sunset. He says this is like heaven. And all these places are on this earth. We see them. They are not metaphysical realities. They are really physical realities. If they are on this earth, then earth is heaven. Number 3, he says, the scene of beautiful harvest, the scene of moonlight, okay, or the scene of, the way the earth is there. All these things make, or they are like heaven. And we feel it is heaven. And we can feel them on the earth. So is it earth a heaven? Isn't earth a heaven? See how poet has not only created a heaven, he has proved earth itself is heaven. Now let's go back. What the poet says, heaven, if you are not here on earth, where else could you be? In other words, heaven, if you are not here on earth, you are nowhere else. Hence the title has to be changed now. What is that? Heaven, if you are not here on earth, you are nowhere else. Or heaven, you are right here on earth. Theorem is proved. Well, now there is a lesson for all of us. What is that? Why this particular poem is given for our study? First, as I said in the beginning, what is that? God has created us in His own image and likeness. And Kuvempu tells it, you are gods and you are nymphs. Hence, students, you need to ask a question to yourself. Do I live like gods? Do I live like a nymph? Don't ask your parents to provide everything because God has everything. Not that way. Especially with regard to a moral life. How do I deal with my parents? How do I respect them? How do I respect my teachers? Or how do I behave in the public? How do I make use of the modern things God has given me? It can be my mobile, it can be the computer, it can be anything. Do I use them or misuse them? How do I deal with the people? When people come and talk to me, do they feel happy? Do they feel happy? Or only some filthy words come out of my mouth? When people are in difficulties, do I go and help them? Because if I am one of the gods, if I am one of the nymphs, this is my duty to do that. So, poet is telling us, remember this, you are gods and you are nymphs, And secondly, he is telling us there are so many beautiful places and you need to create these particular places. What is that? Gardens or waterfalls. These are the things that are given to us where we need to maintain them. I'm sure you must have heard this particular caption, live the place better than you have found it. Sometimes this caption is found in the toilets. Live the place better than you have found it. It is not to be fixed only in the toilet. It should be written everywhere. You see, today we speak about Swachh Bharat Andolan. No, it should not remain only at that level. We should do what is that? In and around us, we should create this beautiful place. It need not be a garden, but cleanliness, because cleanliness is next to godliness. Cleanliness is next to godliness, which means where there is cleanliness, there is the presence of God. That becomes a heaven. God lives in heaven. In other words, we need to keep our surroundings clean. Not only my house, my college, my society. Spitting everywhere, littering everywhere, throwing away the plastic, everything. We need to become aware, and poet is trying to tell us all these things through this poem. Make this place a heaven. In fact, God has created a heaven. Don't make it a hell. Or you have already made it a hell. At least now convert it into a heaven. Today we have got all the problems. It can be landslides, this excessive rain or excessive heat, global warming or corona for that matter. What is the reason? This is the reason because we have converted this beautiful heaven, this earth, into a hell. Into a hell. So God is giving us a warning. Come on, convert it back to heaven. Make it a beautiful place to live for everybody. Then he speaks about the splendor of harvest and of moonlight. Heaven lies all over. Yeah. Now I think you need to connect this lesson to the lesson by Vandana Shiva, where she speaks about how this monoculture industrialization has destroyed the earth and converted the mother earth into a dead being. Okay, so we need to go back now. Again, go back. We need to change this situation. Okay, if God has created us as gods, if God has created us as nymphs, and if God has created this earth as heaven, we need to maintain it, because to the next generation, to the next posterity, we need to give this place better than we have found it. Otherwise, the whole earth is going to become a tomb. I repeat, the whole earth is going to become a tomb, and all of us would be the dead bodies buried here, and the days are not very far. So, how relevant is this poem for the present context, you see? This is what we mean by poetic act. The poet wrote it with some intention, and now we understand it in a different way, and the poetic act has taken place. Poetic act has taken place. This is the capacity of a poet, what Kuvempu calls it as. Poet can create heaven on earth just by his imagination and just by his words. So let's do this. Let's take this poem very seriously and try to live in heaven on this earth. Suppose we are in heaven, hell, let us convert it into a heaven. Let us stop converting heaven into hell. Let us feel that I am a beautiful human being created in the own image and likeness of God. Hence, I need to live like gods. I need to live like nymphs. I need to maintain that moral, spiritual, the standard in my life. Let me consider others also in the similar style. Let me live a life where I love others, where I accept others, where I understand others, where I reach out to their needs in their niche, and thus really become a God to the other person. And then surely this earth is going to be a heaven. Then all of us will be living like gods on this earth. So let the effort to make this earth into a heaven always continue. I wish you all the best, and thank you very much.